So I should do the 2000 separately.
Yeah, read off,
And-
just for the rest of us, what a typical piece of data is. Suppose that we talk about one of the regions.
Okay. For example, Latino America is revenue in billion in 2000 is 0.9.
Okay. Right. Then in 2007, it was,
It was in 2007 for the same region, it's 1.2 billion.
okay.
Then I should graph one here, a slope here and a slope here. But I just put
Well, no,
both?
as a matter of fact. No, because those, see, those things are basically two data points. There's only one line there. It's the line about basically the way revenue increased in one of the regions. Those two data points go together to create a straight line.
for the world.
No, you can't really, no, we're talking about different regions. See, the world is being broken up into regions. And for each, for each region in the world, there's basically some revenue data in 2000 and revenue data in 2007. Just as you're pointing out there, for the region that you mentioned, 0.9 in 2000 and 1.2 in 2007. Now, see, you could plot those 2 points and basically sort of make basically a linear equation out of that. In particular, it would be a little bit easier if you thought 2000 was year 0 and 2007 was year 7, right, as we've done in other cases. All right, so then you'd have the data points 0 and 0.9 and 7 and 1.2, and then you could find a linear equation with that.
For each year.
Yeah, and you could go to the other regions and do the same thing. Now, that doesn't really quite result, I think, in a graph that looks like that. See, I think, I'm trying, again, I'm sort of racking my brains and trying to figure out what 0, 2, 4, or 6 is. And that's why I thought that maybe it was about the regions. And what you were really looking at is if you looked vertically, you were basically looking at the growth in revenue for the regions. But maybe that isn't quite right, although the count on the data seems to be sort of right. In other words, how many regions are there? There's 4 or 5? Can't remember.
4.
There's 4. See, 1, 2, 3, and 4, it looks to me, yeah.
For each region.
Yeah. See, it seems to me that you're maybe getting the data about the regions sort of onto a single graph, which, you're getting time confused into this.
Professor,
Yeah.
what of in a situation like, for example, because like this graph, if we have used a bar graph, a bar chart, so that to separate the region
Right.
in one square, I think that would
gonna
have
have
been,
more
that would
graph.
have been better. But with this, I'm looking at it that this might
Global.
that might create more. We might have, just to make it.
See, what you
Explicit.
could have made on this graph was basically along the horizontal axis, you could have talked, not numerically, but you could have talked about the 4 regions.
Oh.
Right, and then vertically, you could have shown the revenue change as sort of a bar graph.
Here's this one.
Now, in addition, of course, you could have taken basically the heights of the bars and made a little sort of linear equation question out of that. In other words, take basically the height in 2000, the height in 2007 for a certain region, and then get a linear equation. And then, of course, you can make a prediction about what it's going to be, at a different time. You can predict when it's going to be such and such. Okay, but I think you're getting sort of the regions confused with a breakdown in the years. That a more sensible way, I mean, there's nothing, I think the meaning of this graph is better as a bar graph, where instead of 0, 2, 4, or 6, it's basically the 4 regions, and then vertically is fine, the revenue is fine, yeah.
And then if you did that as
This
a
is
bar
not- it's-
graph,
Then you could sort of see, you could see where dramatic growth was in what parts of the world.
Where would
each
you
of those-
anticipate that growth to be on your graph according to what you just said? Where would the greatest growth be? What region?
Yeah, okay, but we don't know exactly which region it is because I think that information isn't there.
United States, in United States.
Yeah, I think that may be true according to this data. But it's basically, again, about the biggest difference between the square and the triangle.
Yes,
That's what it's about.
yes.
But those, I think, where we can't sort of think, I think in this graph that we're measuring, it's not years being measured across. It's basically different regions that have different blue squares and yellow triangles.
Yes. Yeah, well, yes.
There we go. Yep. Now you see what I'm saying?
Yes, I understand. Thank you, teacher.
Not
Thank you, bro.
They're not easy. You know, and this one had basically, again, there were 4 different patterns in here because the revenue was different in each of the regions.
Yeah.
You had different numbers. You know, I think that the gap was the same. The gap was a 7-year gap in each case. You know, so the time data was the same, but of course the revenue, you know, X was the same, Y was different.
Thank you. Guys, this is not the time.
Yeah.
It's not the time. This is a different region in the world. Out
There.
And
That's how you want to understand it.
And
Yeah.
billion dollars.
Sorry.
Thank you. There are new
Any questions?
Any questions?
So I have a question for Sika before we stop. You said that you seem to be praising the franchise industry for employing so many people.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
So my question is, when you listen to Raj and Emmanuel, and you listen to the effects of this industry worldwide,
Yeah.
does that make you feel any differently about this industry?
Basically, they are looking at franchise on the restaurants, fast food industry, not other companies that franchises different kind of things.
Right.
So if I'm looking at it from their perspective on fast food, I might not encourage franchise. But I'm looking at it globally. When we talk about different kinds of business apart from fast food industry, because we are talking about franchising
Okay.
globally.
Okay, but let's not change the subject because our topic here is really
Fast food.
franchising in the fast food business.
Yeah, but with what I'm equipped with, which is the New York Times and fast food industry, and the page that I was given, I sort of read that page, and I discovered he was not just basically talking about only fast food industry, but though his point of interest is on fast food. Now, he did mention other kind of franchise which are better, but for fast food industry, that is, he said it's not good for our health. So in conclusion, because of what we are saying now, we are just basing our findings on fast food. Then fast food industry, the franchising of fast food industry is not good for our health.
Yes,
I
Sharon?
wanted to know, did you mention the General Motors? Because I was confused when he mentioned
Yeah.
General Motors and car dealerships and what that had to do with obesity. Like, I wanted to know how he tied that, because I was kind of lost.
Yes. We are talking about franchising. Yeah. So when we talk about franchising, why I mentioned General Motors is that's what I was just trying to explain when she asked the question, why am I supporting franchising industry? General Motors, they deal on different things entirely. Based on the information that I received in the book about franchising, I never knew that I'm just going to, I have to, limit myself within fast food industry. But I was looking at franchise generally as a whole.
Okay.
So that is why I mentioned General Motors. Yeah.
Are you a future franchiser of the world? Can we out you as a future franchiser?
Well, he's interested in business, so
Well-
I want to be sure that when you open your business, you have certain ethical
Yeah.
principles that
His eyes are starting to go that way.
you follow. Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.